Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things firearms, firearms policy, politics, culture, media, you name it. We're talking about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment, like and share the program so that your friends can know where the conversation is taking place. Also, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And in the case of YouTube and Facebook, make sure you hit that notification button. That way you'll be notified as soon as we go live, and you can participate in the live chat as the program is taking place. Also, make sure you visit fpcgear.com. That's fpcgear.com. It is the place to go to get all of your Pro 2A swag. I'm talking tank tops, T-shirts, hoodies. It's going to be starting to get cooler here in a little bit. We got stuff for the home and stuff for the office, even stuff so that you can go out and be safe during the COVID. Now, the best part is every dollar that you spend goes right back into the fight for a right to keep and bear arms. So you can support the Second Amendment and you can look good doing it. That's fpcgear.com. All right, folks. We all know it's that time of year. We're, literally less than 2 months until Election Day. I mean, we're really super close. And so now everybody is pulling out all stops. And there has rarely been a time that is more important for the Second Amendment than right now, because there are those who are fighting very, very hard to make sure, that we don't get to keep that right. One of those individuals is Mr. Mike Bloomberg. He's no stranger to this program, so therefore he should be no stranger to you. Now, recently he's made a commitment that he's going to spend up to $100 million in one state in order to make sure that key battleground state goes to the anti-gunners. And that state is Florida. So we decided to bring on the program a good friend of the program, based right there in Orlando, Florida, the host of Arms Room Radio, Mr. Mike Piwowarski, to talk about how he plans to personally combat that $100 million. Mr. Piwowarski, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Craig. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. It's interesting times we are in.
It is. It's you and I we were talking about this for a little while. We were talking about this guy Bloomberg and his money. Listen, he did not even with all his money, he didn't have the backing or the support to make it through the primaries to become the candidate for the Democrats there. But he still says he's going to take his money and influence elections. And my question back at you is, how is that not a crime? How is that the supposition that maybe a couple $1,000s were spent by the Russians to buy some Facebook ads could be enough to grind this country to a halt over election fraud? But you got a guy right here who says, I'm going to take $100 million and go down there and buy an election. How's that not a crime?
Well, especially when it's like his number one goal is he wants to take away our fundamental right to keep and bear arms. I mean, his goal is to infringe on a constitutionally enumerated right.
Yeah, absolutely. There's little to stop him too. I know you said I'm going to be down here in Florida combating him. I wish I could go pull $100 million out of the bank and just face off against him, but it's not. It's a finance thing, and this is turning out to be he who's got the bucks is making the rules. And that's not the way this is designed to be. We've talked campaign finance reform, till we're blue in the face, and this is clearly just, I'm sorry, in my opinion, a criminal act. And I hope our governor, I hope our courts in Florida, find a way to stop him. They probably won't, because that's just going to delay the inevitable of election day here. But it's horrible, and there's only a couple of different things that we could possibly do to even make a difference down here.
All right, so now here's the thing, and I'm like this. At a certain point, and I've been involved and followed enough campaigns to know that at a certain point, at a certain dollar point, you're really just spending good money after bad. The key has got to be there's so much you need to implement your plan. I mean, do you really think that $100 million is going to make? I mean, I don't know if you get the question I'm asking. I don't see the $100 million. One, I don't see it materializing. But number two, I don't know that I see the $100 million having the impact that people believe it will.
The guy's got what's he worth? $80 billion. So that $100 million is really not worth much to him. it's chump change for him. I'll tell you this: in the greater Central Florida area, our state attorney, which is the district attorney here, up until let's see, 4.5 years ago, it was a bastion of conservatism. It was just law and order kind of thing. And just prior to last election, George Soros came in with his money, dumped $2 million in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and bought a candidate that had qualified for the position. Had signed up in time and was a lawyer. That was the basic qualifications, and bought the election out from underneath a well-known, well-respected member of the state attorney's office that was running for it. And it happened again here within the past month. That person that Soros got elected was basically sanctioned by the governor to where she couldn't be effective, had taken cases away from her. She refused to prosecute violent felonies, refused to prosecute any death penalty cases. So Soros came in again in the last 2 weeks, dumped another $2 million and stole that election away from. In fact, this one was Judge Belvin Perry. If you might remember him, he was the law and order judge on Casey Anthony's case. Mm-hmm. So he was very well known and respected in the community. And just $2 million, bought the third largest metropolitan area in Central Florida.
Well,
so
$100
million might buy the whole state, Craig.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think at a certain point, at a certain point, yes, there's so much spending, but at a certain point, you're going to hit the point to where it's just oversaturation, and you're actually seeing a negative return on dollars. If you have someone who has no money and all of a sudden $2 million to run in a local race to be able to do TV and all of that, that's one thing. But at a certain point, okay, you've run the TV, you've bought the TV ads that you can buy. What else are you going to spend the money on? You've done the mail. At a certain point, there's an oversaturation where people just say, look, I'm tired of hearing from that person. The money is only going to get you to a certain point. And then after that certain dollar amount, there's a negative rate of return. In other words, you lose more. I don't want to say you lose people, but you don't gain any more people. For every more dollar that you spend, you get less of a return on each one of those dollars.
Agreed, and I would tend to believe that myself until the last couple of times I saw here in Florida what we just talked about. That throwing the money at it was enough to take the educated voter and say, all right, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this guy. Let me look and see what he's about, and let me look and see what the opposition's about. I'm tired of seeing this guy's face. But how many, what do we call them, 1-star voters are out there? How many 0 voters are out there that it's all about name recognition? Whose name did I see more? Who had more signs? Who had more TV ads? It's not the message. It's about how much you see them and the letter that's next to their name, right?
Oh, that's hard to argue. That's hard to argue against. So, what are the options? Because here's the thing. People all across the country are going to be looking at Florida and saying, okay, Florida's a key battleground state. It's literally 50-50 there.
Right. Right.
It's going to be important not just for Floridians to be engaged, but for people outside of Florida. What are some of the organizations that people need to be getting plugged into, or efforts that they need to be getting plugged into in order to help the state of Florida stay pro-gun?
The state organizations, Florida Carry. Listen, you know them well. I know them well, and they're the only ones that have got real teeth in the fight. They can get up there and with the lobbyists, they can get up there in the state capitol and actually fight and be taken seriously over Second Amendment issues. They're doing it over 10 years. So if you've got your money, it's got to go to Florida Carry if you want to save those Second Amendment rights. FloridaCarry.org, FloridaCarry.org. Just make it happen. You also need to individually be banging on doors, knocking on windows at your local representative's office and your campaign headquarters. They need to know what you feel. They need to know what your neighbors feel about your Second Amendment rights. Our governor's coming out with some incredible laws, proposed right now and I'm sure we'll talk about that on another show about protecting the Second Amendment here. But this has got to be in conjunction with that. Otherwise, you're going to lose all of your gun rights here in the state. And if you lose it here in Florida, that's a big state to lose. How close is this election going to be?
It's going to be super close. Now, by the way, folks, just to be clear, Firearms Policy Coalition does not endorse candidates, but we do encourage you to vote your values, to look at, I don't care what level office it is, whether it's school board, dog catcher, all the way up to President of the United States, Congress, Senate, whatever it is. You need to select the candidate who believes in the fundamental right to keep and bear arms, and hopefully has demonstrated through policy that they've implemented in the past or through key statements and positions that they've taken that they in fact do support that right. Because I'm assuming if you're watching this program, the right to keep and bear arms is there at or very, very near the top of those values that are important.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you want to see those rights protected in your Second Amendment rights, I'm telling you that organization in Florida is Florida Carry. That's the one that's going to fight for your Second Amendment rights in Florida.
Now, let me ask you this. So you being there in Florida, what do you see in terms of, because see, Florida's, used to be known as the gunshine state.
Right.
And
right.
It seems to be, it's not quite there at this point anymore, but it's still better than most states. It's still better than California, still better than Hawaii, definitely better than New Jersey and New York. But what direction do you kind of see it heading right now? Do you see that turning around? Do you see it getting worse?
Yeah, we had an influx of, and the numbers are off. Nobody's sure of them. Anywhere from 50,000 to 500,000 people from Puerto Rico after the hurricanes come in, and they traditionally vote Democrat down there because of the social welfare programs. I guess I'm sorry, but it's my opinion that when you get a social welfare check, your vote's being bought. Because those come from one party, not the other, voting for them. We've seen a bunch also recently, some change with Florida's now allowing convicted felons to vote. Used to have to apply to get your rights back, and then one of those rights was to vote. Now it's automatic. It's gone back and forth in the courts. In fact, just this past week, one of the circuit courts, federal circuit courts, said those people cannot vote in this election because, and here's the details of it. They were clear of their jail sentence and clear of their supervision, but they were not clear of paying all their fines and all of their court costs. And the Democrats tried to say, well, that's a tax on voting. And the Republicans said, no, that's part of the sentence. So finally got that upheld. So, but that's going to give these people the opportunity to now make those fines paid, pay those court costs. So next election cycle, perhaps they're voting, or maybe it gets overturned again and it's not required. So you're looking at a big Democrat vote from the influx of people from Puerto Rico. And then and it looks like it's 70-80% of those convicted felons from the polling is going to vote on the Democrat side also. So unless we start, mass producing some Republicans over the next 4 years, it's going to be even tighter.
Right. And if you're going to be mass producing them it's going to take about 18 years.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. And one Republican is one Republican vote and one Democrat is 3 votes. So we're already behind the 8 ball there. Well,
and every person who dies is ultimately going to wind up voting Democrat. So
exactly 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, hey, you know what? Good luck to you guys down there in Florida. We with the Firearms Policy Coalition are with you. We're encouraging all of those who work with us to vote their values there in the state of Florida. Let folks know a little bit more about your radio show, how they can listen to you.
Yeah, don't forget Florida Carry. I'm not a board member. I'm not anything like that. I'm just a dues paying member like everybody else in this state. And you don't have to be from Florida to help us out down here. Remember, what happens in Florida doesn't stay in Florida. Ask our friends in New Jersey and California about that. You can catch us, armsroomradio.com. It's armsroomradio.com on 25, 30 stations around the country, an actual radio program, or you can go to the armsroomradio.com and listen in when we're live Saturdays at 3 o'clock Eastern time.
Excellent. Mike, thank you so very much for coming on the program. We always have a good time.
Always, sir. Have a good day.
All right, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Piwowarski with Arms Room Radio. All right, folks. Well, hey, that's going to be it for this edition of of Coffee with Craig. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and telling your friends about the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. Got to use them or you're going to lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.